Chapter 11 of the Tale of Benny Badger. This recording is in the public domain. The Tale of Benny Badger by Arthur Scott Bailey. Chapter 11 Birds' Eggs. Though Benny Badger never cared much for foxes, he was willing usually to stop and talk with one of that family, provided he wasn't too busy digging to take the time for gossip. There was one fox who often strolled about the neighbourhood, and though Benny had many a chat with this gentleman, somehow Benny never learned much from him. He was so sly that he let Benny do most of the talking while he listened, and when he did say anything he preferred to ask questions. In time Benny Badger noticed that his chats with Mr. Fox were very one-sided, and he made up his mind at last that when he next met that crafty fellow he would ask him plenty of questions. He would make him talk, or he would know the reason why. It happened that early on the following morning, when he was hunting for ground squirrels' holes, he found himself face to face with Mr. Fox, and Benny noticed that Mr. Fox was himself looking with great interest at a fresh ground squirrel's hole. "Hello!" Benny Badger exclaimed. "I hope you haven't come here after ground squirrels." Mr. Fox looked much surprised. "No, indeed," he said. "I'm only hunting for birds' eggs." "Birds' eggs?" Benny Badger repeated. "Have you found any?" Mr. Fox squirmed a bit. He did not like to answer questions. "Have you found any eggs?" Benny asked him again. "A few," Mr. Fox replied. "Where?" Benny inquired. "Oh, in different places," said Mr. Fox. And he began to talk about the weather, how dry it was, how much the country needed rain. But Benny Badger was not to be fooled so easily. "You haven't really answered my question," Benny reminded Mr. Fox bluntly. "I asked you where you've been finding birds' eggs, and I'll thank you to tell me, sir." Mr. Fox gave a slight start. Benny's tone was none too pleasant, and Mr. Fox certainly didn't want to quarrel with him. "If you wish to know anything about birds' eggs, why don't you ask a prairie chicken?" he inquired. "She would know a great deal more about eggs than I do." To Benny that suggestion seemed quite worth while. There was no doubt that what Mr. Fox said was true, and Benny wondered why he hadn't thought of the plan himself. "Your advice," he told Mr. Fox, "is so good that I'm going to start right now to look for a prairie chicken. It's almost dawn now, and the chickens will soon be getting up." So Benny said good by, and Mr. Fox tried to say good by too, but somehow he choked over the words, and began to cough so violently that Benny Badger was quite alarmed. He waited anxiously until he saw that Mr. Fox was out of danger, and then he left him. If he had have looked back he might have seen his sly friend capering about in the grey light as if something amused him hugely, and no doubt Benny would have wondered what it could have been. Prairie chickens! Mr. Fox was chuckling. Much they'll tell him about eggs. Chapter 12